All right, so in our last segment, we ended up with the components of culture. And now we're ready for McRagan's classic model. Classic model was 1986, actually, when McRagan proposed this model called the journey of cultural meaning. In other words, how cultural meaning travels. So this is a model of how culture, remember culture is shared beliefs about what's important, useful, and desirable, right? So it's a model of how culture permeates consumer products and consumers. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the major pipelines in this model, two major pipelines. And the first one describes the pipeline where culture is actually transferred to products, okay, in two different ways, through marketing activities and through fashion systems. So let's look at each of these a little closer. Products reflect culture through deliberate marketing efforts, especially advertising, but also other things like how the products are distributed, packaging, pricing, etc. So let me think of an example so that you can understand this better. Cellular phones reflect society's desire for portable and global communication, right? So products reflect culture through marketing efforts. Now, because culture is dynamic, though, products can lose their meaning and take on new ones over time. For instance, advertising of SUVs, remember, used to focus on our culture's kind of outdoor and sports related values. But now SUVs also reflect extravagance and excessive fuel consumption, other negatives like that. So in response, the marketplace now offers smaller, more fuel-efficient SUVs, and advertising of these models emphasize these attributes. So products reflect culture through marketing efforts. The other pipeline through which culture is transferred to products is really interesting through the fashion system. So when we say the fashion system, we tend to think clothing, right? But this is not just limited to clothing. Certainly clothing is part of it, but also art and music, architecture, journalism, politics, entertainment, even technology, for instance. So first, fashion systems can reflect culture by associating new styles with existing culture. For example, advertisers for manufacturers of casual clothing were the ones who first introduced the concept of Casual Friday. They're reflecting cultural values of productivity and comfort. And they accomplished moving their casual clothing into the workplace. So one way in which fashion systems transfer culture through products is by associating new styles with existing culture. The second way is by enlisting opinion leaders, what are called opinion leaders, to adopt and endorse a product. Opinion leaders are individuals who are held in high esteem by a society because of cultural values. It could be values for beauty or talent or other accomplishments. In the United States, Angelina Jolie, the actress, has become an opinion leader regarding humanitarian causes. And Warren Buffett, for instance, in the United States, in matters of investing. In South Korea, pop singer Rain has prompted new cultural meaning in music. Now, the third and final way that the fashion system installs culture into products is a really interesting one, through radical reform. This is a unique way in which less powerful but innovative groups can redefine and instill culture into products by challenging the existing order. Sounds very rebellious, right? For example, hippies protested the Vietnam War And as a result, the anti-war peace-loving symbols dominated clothing and other body adornment during those years. And in the 2000s, new hip-hop styles permeated clothing, including wearing sagging pants without a belt, and a trend that now appears to be waxing. Okay? But a really interesting trend, the style originated in prisons where new inmates are immediately stripped to their belts so that they cannot be used as a weapon or a noose. So in solidarity with the prison brothers and in protest of racism in the criminal justice system, many hip-hop artists began donning this style, often to the dismay of more formal states and institutions, exposing their underwear. So radical reform is especially prominent in Western cultures, where protests can capture the attention and intrigue of the people. In our next segment, we're going to explore the second pipeline. So we've looked at McCracken's classic model, and we're looking at the pipelines. We looked at the first one, how culture is transferred to products. Now, in this next segment, we're going to move to the second pipeline, how products transfer culture to individuals.